All right, it's showing that we're live. Let me just refresh the page and make sure we're running. Press. Yeah, we are live. Awesome.
Wow.
Good.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everyone's having a great day. Welcome to Chit Chat and Geek Out. I'm your host, Steven, and today on the show, we have actress, author, and animal activist Amelia Kinkade on the show. How are you today, Amelia?
Wow. Well, you're making my day. Now it's getting good.
It's awesome.
Now it's getting good. I'm packing a gigantic black wedding dress with tiara and crinoline. So I've got these pantaloons under it and the whole thing. It takes up an entire suitcase, and it's going to New Jersey, and then it's going to go to the next con. And so this one is the end of March. And
yes.
It's super exciting. I mean, I've got incredible stories for you.
That's awesome. Yeah, and guys, it's New Jersey HorrorCon, and that con is taking place March 29th to 31st, and there's going to be a Night of the Demons reunion with Linnea and Amelia, so go check them out.
And Shannon Elizabeth.
Yeah, and so Shannon Elizabeth.
Fans can have two Angelas, an Angela on each arm.
Yes.
And that's crazy.
That's exciting.
What I'm saving, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and tell you because it's so amazing. I've been posting on Facebook, so everybody who's online and they're seeing my Facebook post, the Instagram, what they're finding there is that a fan came through my line years ago here in LA. So I went from fan to one of my best friends to somebody who goes as in drag as me in all of the Hollywood gay parades.
Wow.
So he told me that when he came through my line. I think we were at Monsterpalooza here in Los Angeles. And now he's not only on the board of directors for my charity, Archangel, he mans my Instagram, and he's coming to this Atlantic City HorrorCon in drag, in the black wedding dress. This is a 6'2" Angela.
Wow.
And it's so awesome. It's so amazing. And we've talked Linnea into recreating her costume. Now, everybody always asks me about the costumes. And when you make a movie, you're not allowed to keep your own costume.
Right.
No matter what you do, they don't let you do that. For some reason, Billy Gallo managed to steal a costume from Demons 1. And he'll show up at these cons with this shirt that has a wooden stake sticking out of his heart. Oh. And it's the same shirt from Demons 1.
Wow. That's so cool.
But Linnea, she's going to be in the pink tutu. And then my friend Greg has a partner who's coming as Linnea in the pink tutu. So we're going to have two guys in drag as us.
That's amazing. That's
the ultimate compliment, you know?
Yeah.
The ultimate compliment. And we're going to start doing things to promote the gay community more in these cons because there's just an enormous following of gay, kids out there. And now it's not even the fans, it's the kids of the fans.
Yeah. It sure is.
The kids of the fans. I have people come up to me, burst into tears, and say, "You've been scaring the hell out of me my whole life." And, they're in their 20s, and maybe their parents were into the movie, and more likely their parents were not into the movie.
Right.
So they were sneaking into the back room to watch Night of the Demons from the time they were kids.
Wow.
And now fans show up with tattoos on their body. I mean, it's the most phenomenal thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's crazy, huh? It's such a big compliment for you. That's amazing. I love it.
It's wild, and it's not necessarily a fan who's got 10 tats or, covered in tats. They'll have one ginormous tat of me on their chest or their leg or their arm and chicks too. Girls are coming in with tattoos of me on their body.
Yeah.
It's astonishing.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. It's so cool though, because you were saying before too how now you have all these younger people coming up to you I'm a younger generation of horror. I'm 20 years old. I'm a 90s kid. And I grew up with a lot of the classic horror, but then later on, I just discovered a whole bunch of great horror films and cult classics such as Night of the Demons. And, when you're saying about that too, though, is that all these young people have horror tattoos, which is amazing. Um, I myself one day want to get a full horse sleeve tattoo, and it's just so cool to me just to see all these different, like, even for me when I go to cons, I see all these different people with a bunch of different horror tattoos. And it's just amazing, and you get to meet new friends that are close to my age and the younger generation of horror. It's great.
It's incredible. And back in the day, back when I did them, they were still very controversial. I mean, to star in a horror movie, everybody always asked me, why did you quit? Well, I didn't quit on purpose. I made the 3 films. A lot of people don't know about Demons 3. And I actually shot Demons 3 in Canada, in the woods outside of Montreal. And I enjoyed making the movie. I enjoyed it a lot. And I still get a kick out of the movie. It's not so easy to find.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a stigma at that time that if you made a horror movie, I mean, this was in the day where, Julia Roberts was coming up and Pretty Woman was happening. And that kind of thing was all there was out there.
Yeah.
There were action adventure. There were things like Bruce Willis movies and Stallone movies, but if you made a horror movie, nobody would hire you.
Yeah.
And now it's the opposite. Now, every time I'm a Netflix junkie, and every time I turn on Netflix or anything, it's all zombie and vampires, and I mean everything has like a supernatural slant to it.
Yep. Sure is.
It's hard to find anything that isn't horror based. But the tattoos are phenomenal, because even for an artist to draw Angela, that's something. But to draw that makeup on somebody's body, man, that takes some talent.
Sure does. Yeah, it's amazing. And you know what? One of the great releases, I'm sure you might own it. Do you collect anything from Night of the Demons, or do you mainly just do you not collect at all, really?
Well, I get stuff because of the convention. So I'll do cons, and then of course Greg collects stuff for me, and there's new stuff coming out all the time. I've got a brand new doll.
Yes, I was gonna say that.
New action figure. There's new T-shirts I'm selling. There's T-shirts that glow in the dark. There's a tube of lipstick that he found, and it's made in China, and it has my face on the packaging.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
There's an Angela Lego out there now, and I thought it was a joke. Somebody put it on Facebook, and I said, that can't be real. It's real. I mean, there's just more and more and more stuff coming out every day.
There is. I was gonna mention it is a great release. I don't know if it's still available because I ordered it when it was available for pre-order. But shout out to Scream Factory / Shout Factory. They're known by each name, but they came out with a great release of Night of the Demons with a Night of the Demons Steelbook Blu-ray, Angela NECA figure, and Night of the Demons poster, and that release was amazing. Shout out to Shout Factory for that. But do you own that figure right now, Amelia?
I do, and I'm selling a few of them at these upcoming cons, and they're already collector's items.
Yes.
Because they only made a couple hundred of them, and they're all gone.
Yes, they did.
So they got snatched up. They don't even exist anymore.
Nope.
And I've got a few, and that money will also go to the skills, get me to Africa, get into the schools, and work with the children so they don't grow up to be poachers. That's what I do with my dance training now.
That's great.
I go into rural communities in Zimbabwe, Zambia, South Africa, and we dance as lions, we draw lions, we make up plays about poaching and protecting lions, and teach the children that there are alternatives. Their only financial future is going to be getting jobs on the safari parks, protecting the animals. But I just really feel like our entire goal is to try to hold our balance with all the crazy changes that are happening in the world around us and make the space for the next generation. Because the next generation is going to inherit this entire mess. You know, everything from a continent of plastic in the ocean to the global warming, which is completely out of control.
It is.
And in Rwanda, I've done it with a gorilla. I had 180 orphans in a field in Rwanda outside of a church.
Wow.
Dancing as gorilla, drawing gorilla. These children had never had a piece of paper or crayon in their life. And they're drawing on the ground. I had to cut the crayons up into little tiny pieces, so we're breaking them up because I have so many kids. And it's hard to get stuff into Africa. It's hard to get it over the border.
Right.
And they do the most amazing drawing I've ever seen in my life. And I usually do it with elephants. Elephants are one of my great passions. And with pangolin, which is a kind of anteater that's almost completely extinct because the Chinese, and no offense, I've got a lot of Chinese friends, but it is Chinese poachers that are funding all this.
Wow. It's horrible.
And they're making soup out of pangolin, which is totally ridiculous. And so a lot of what I do, I love the cons, I love the fans, I love all this, and it helps fund my trips to Africa so that I can get my work done. And that's really my mission in life. That's God's destiny for my life.
Right. Well, that's amazing for you to do that because, you do a lot of great work with animals and travel different places. And everyone that's watching too, and everybody, we're glad to help you. We're glad you provide these cool signed items, as we were saying before, and a lot of that money does go towards your traveling, which is amazing because we're helping you do something you love, and that's great for the world by buying something from you that we love as well. And that your money's going towards a great cause. And my next thing I want to talk about was your animals, because you are an animal activist, and I think it's absolutely amazing of you to be doing this, and you've been doing it for most of your life, what I've been reading about. When about did you start working with animals?
I was in my early 20s, and I took a workshop from a lady who was driving around America in her van. Her name was Beatrice Lydecker. She was going from one veterinarian's office to the next, solving problems that the vets couldn't solve. And back then, this was really controversial. And she didn't care. She had gone on Johnny Carson on live television and read Ed McMahon's Cat and made him cry. And she was completely fearless. And when Beatrice Lydecker read my cat, it was the most phenomenal thing I have ever, ever, ever experienced. So I've got a cat in a vet's office. Now, you can read about this story straight from the horse's mouth. That was my first book. And it's about Rodney, this little loudmouth kitty that I call a loudmouth needle-nose redhead. Just an orange-dog cat, the Honda Civic of cats. And I was madly in love with this cat. And he would go off like a fire alarm every time I left the apartment. And I was in an apartment building where I wasn't supposed to have cats. So I snuck him in. And then I have this cat just screaming bloody murder every time I leave the house. And I didn't know what to do. Well, she completely blew my mind. She's tuned into him. And she says to me, I'm asking him his favorite place to sleep. And he said, on the back of a peach-colored armchair in my den with a huge window next to it. And outside that window is a wooden fence across the street. And behind that wooden fence is a little white dog. And he goes over there and makes that dog bark. How specific is that?
Mm-hmm.
And how many people have a peach-colored armchair? And that was his favorite spot in the whole house.
Wow.
And there was a little dog across the street. And I didn't know he went over there and made that dog bark. Well, long story short, it's a long, wonderful story. And I want everybody to get their hands on Straight from the Horse's Mouth and read the book. That was the first of 6 books that I've written about animals and communicating with animals and how this magic works.
Yes.
And what I've discovered is that everybody can do it. Everybody has some connection to their own intuition. Mm-hmm. They have some psychic senses, sensibilities, that gut instinct has it. Now, she solved my problem. I took a workshop from her and discovered that I could do it. And then everything that I had intended to do as an actress just got kind of pushed to the wayside, because from that moment on, I couldn't do anything else. In a matter of months, I think 2 weeks later, I was on a national talk show, doing it on live television. I was scared to death.
Wow.
Within 2 months, I was in the 100 top sites in America.
That's amazing.
And it just tumbled into place. And now I've taught in, I think the last count was about 27 countries.
Wow. That's crazy. That's amazing.
Been living out of a suitcase for 18 years. Wow. And I can assure you, every penny I make goes to getting me to Africa. It's my airfare, it's my B&Bs, it's getting on the safari parks, it's the charity. And now with the cons, thank God, I'm getting fried with all of the international travel.
Mm-hmm.
And the support of the cons is helping me get more work in America, so I don't have to fly all over the world.
Yeah.
And I'll be able next year to stay in LA and just fly to cons every weekend. And that's really what I want to be able to do. And then, of course, once a year, I'll always go to Africa. I spend 3 months in South Africa every year.
Wow. That's so great of you to do that. And everybody that's watching too, because we're mentioning about your books. You've written 6 books. And everyone that would like to look at her books and purchase them online, the links are down in the description below. So go grab yourself a copy. But you've done a lot of books where you've done 6 different books. A lot of times when people want to write a book, because your first book was what was it called? Whispers of the Wild, was that it?
No, Whispers from the Wild is my latest. And that's about the African animals and the experiences I've had with tigers, lions, elephants, great white sharks,
that's great.
Whales, snakes, and bees all over the world. My first book is called Straight from the Horse's Mouth.
Okay, that's right. That's right.
How to talk to animals and get answers.
That's great. That's awesome. How was your experience with writing your novels? Because that's something that takes a while, is to write novels and books. How was your experience? Because you've written 6, so that's really impressive. How was your experience with writing all these novels?
Well, the crime novel is called Aurora's Secret, and that one is the one that's really tailored toward the horror fans. And my biggest goal, my biggest aspiration is to sell it as a television show. I've laid it out at 6 episodes, so I've got 6 60-page episodes ready to go. Wow. It's just a matter of finding the right producer and the right venue. And the thing about writing is you've got to absolutely love it. You've got to have an absolute passion for it, so that it becomes your form of meditation, really.
Yeah.
I wrote Whispers from the Wild from a tent in Africa on a river in the middle of nowhere, where I had nothing around me but elephants.
Wow.
And I'm very much a loner, so I can hole up somewhere and just focus. But it takes an enormous amount of self-discipline.
Sure does. I've been writing my first script because I want to get into the film industry, and you got to stay determined to finish it, because I'm finally almost done, but it's took like a couple months. It takes a while. You got to be determined to just do it and finish it.
You have to create a schedule for yourself that's an arbitrary schedule, and you have to create your own deadline.
Yeah.
Now, that's easy for me to do because of my travel. Because let's say I'm going to finish this before I leave for the New Jersey Con, or I'm going to finish this before I leave for Europe.
Right.
And I've got a certain amount of time, and you have to drive yourself, or it won't get finished.
Right. Well, that's amazing. And you know what? I'm gonna try to get one of these copies of your books, because you do a lot of great work. As I was saying before, with traveling and working with animals, I think that's fantastic. So everybody in that's watching, make sure to please go check out Mila's website and go get a copy of her books. And yeah, it's great. She has some amazing titles. I'm just gonna name some titles on the website. Straight from the Horse's Mouth, The Language of Miracles, Whisperers from the Wild, Soulmates with Paws, Hooves and Wings, and Aurora's Secret, and The Winged One. Now, are those the last two that I named there? Are those about your travels? They look like something different, the covers.
The Winged One is my children's novel. So it stars a princess that's about 10 years old. So the readership is maybe 9 to 11 years old. And I illustrated it. So I spent 4 years at the American Animation Institute learning how to cartoon.
Wow.
And I did the pen and ink and watercolor paintings, and I also did all the illustration. So it's really, really fun. It's one of my favorite books that I've ever written in my life. Wow. And then Aurora's Secret is a crime novel. Soulmates with Claws and Wings is a collection of love stories, and there's some incredible authors, some best-selling, New York Times best-selling authors that contributed stories about their animals and miracles that have happened with their animals and communicating with their animals, and just the love stories, and then all of the magical things that happened even when the animal's dying. That there are stories about, and happen now on a regular basis, that you'll be lying in bed after your animal's crossed over, and you feel them land on your bed, and you feel them walk up to you, and you are hearing their purr or their panting or their bark, and you reach over in the bed and you can touch them. And fortunately, your generation, which is my fan base and also my students, I'm getting more and more students that are coming. I'm about to teach in Chicago and Knoxville, Tennessee, and I've got college students that are coming and college-age guys that are coming. One of my favorite students is coming from Chicago, is from China. And you have a more open-minded age group.
Yeah.
So it's easier to teach somebody who's 20 and is still really on fire creatively.
Right. Well, I guess it's because too now we're the younger generation and we're growing up with all these problems and we're trying to fix it before it's too late.
Well, I hope so. It certainly sounds like you are one of the ones, because we've got to band together and get really brave. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that I'm putting into action now about the whole Angela, the philosophy of Angela. You know, what is it that makes kids want to get tattoos of me on their body?
Yeah.
And it's a kind of superhero.
Yeah.
You know, the Kali energy, the destroyer goddess, the female Whoop-ass, is a kind of destroyer goddess energy, but can get out there and get things done. We've got to get things done, and we don't have much time.
Right.
And I think a lot of what I did in that movie, I was just being myself.
They did a great job.
I think we all were, you know, but I was being myself. I always danced like that. I dance like that every night in my apartment.
Yeah, you know what? because I know I was looking about your bio, and you know, you went to school for dance. What I was reading of, you graduated from the Interlochen Arts Academy in Michigan, and you did dance there. And then you went to Los Angeles, and you did a professional jazz dancer, choreographer. Can you tell us a little bit about your dance career?
No, Interlochen is a music school in Michigan. It is probably what the movie Fame is based on. There's a television show called Fame, and it's a performing arts academy that we had over 50 countries represented, over 50 states represented. It's really known for the music. We had the best symphony in the world. And I was a modern and ballet major because we didn't have jazz. When I got to LA, my first job was Sexy and 17 with the Stray Cats. You'll find that on YouTube. If anybody who's listening wants to Google it, look up Sexy and 17 with the Stray Cats. That was the first job I got. And then I was a backup dancer for incredible stars.
Wow.
I did a television show called the Motown Review, and I was a backup dancer for Smokey Robinson and Ray Charles, and did rock videos for Sheena Easton and Cher, and went on tour with Donna Summer. So I caught that 1980s dance movie wave, and it was when the break dance movies were coming out, and I got to make just a whole string of them. Not as a break dancer, but as a classical dancer. At that time, we still had classical jazz in those movies. So it was a really exciting time to be in Hollywood. And now it's an exciting time because of Netflix.
Yes.
And all the new avenues like, Amazon TV and all this stuff. Yeah, I feel like we're having a renaissance in American television that I've never seen before in my life. All of a sudden, writers and directors are coming out with all these amazing new shows, and actors that never would have worked again, either because they were older or they're character actors, are starring in these shows, which is exactly what they deserve to be able to do. That's where they belong. And we also have older actresses like Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda who've just pushed back the years and buy everybody another 20 years on the screen.
Yep, you're right.
It's super, super creative time. This is not the time to throw up your hands and say, oh no, I can't do it, nothing will ever happen. I have more and more fans coming in saying, hey, I'm a filmmaker and I just got a deal.
That's great.
And I just wrote a TV show and I just sold it. Most of my fans are artists.
Wow.
A lot of them are graphic designers and painters and outrageous artists. And then some of them are writers, filmmakers, and this is the time.
Sure is. There's definitely a lot of creative people out there with great ideas that are finally sharing them with the world. So it's great. What are some of your favorite shows and movies? Because you said you watch a lot of Netflix.
Oh boy. Well, who didn't binge watch The Blacklist? I think I cried when that was when it was over.
Oh no.
And I'll find something new and just fall in love with it and then watch the whole thing. I like all the Marvel comic shows. I was watching something that's completely obscure that nobody would ever know about because it's my kind of thing. And it's called The Protector. And the show is set in Istanbul, and the actors are Turkish. And of course, the whole thing is dubbed. But because they're filming in Istanbul, it's got this really murky, sexy, historic, fascinating footage of what the city looks like. This is old Constantinople.
Right.
It's one of the oldest cities we have on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll find something. It's always something that has a supernatural slant to it, and get hooked on it and watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I kind of go through withdrawal because I watched the whole first season and I realized they didn't make another one yet.
Oh yeah.
So,
that's how it is in most cases. I binge watch a show. And like I remember Santa Clarita Diet. That's a great show with Drew Barrymore. It's hilarious. I binge watch like when the seasons come out because they put the whole series out, like the whole season out once. You don't have to wait each week for a new episode. So I binged watch it within like 4 days. I'm like, now I'm gonna have to wait till next year to watch season 3.
And that's awful. Then you got to find something new. Well, look up The Protector.
Pardon? Check out The Protector?
Look up the Protector on Netflix.
Okay. I'm actually gonna look it up now, so I can look up what it is. I'll check it out on Netflix after. Protector Netflix. Here it is. I've never heard of this show. Turkish drama series.
The acting's superb. The actors are so extraordinary. It's so good.
I'll have to check that out. There's so many great shows on Netflix. I'll have to make sure to check out The Protector. Very cool.
Well, I hope mine will be one in the next few years.
What's that?
I hope mine will be one in the next few years.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I can get Aurora's Secret sold.
Oh, yeah. There's so many. Let's see here. We have someone in the chat. He's asking, any stories about locals when you're shooting in other countries?
About locals when I'm shooting in other countries?
Yeah.
Well, the only movie that I shot out of the country was The Third Demon, and it was in Montreal, and I fell madly in love with Montreal. And I hadn't been to Paris yet, so I hadn't experienced a French city outside of New Orleans, because I was from Louisiana, so we would all go to New Orleans as often as we could. But Montreal is just stunning. It's just absolutely beautiful. And what I understand of it now is that you can't go outside, you'll get frostbite on your nose. There's an underground city that everybody lives in like moles all winter. But that was the only one I shot outside the country. The other places that I go as an animal communication expert have been England, Scotland, Wales, Belgium, France, Switzerland, Austria, Portugal, Brazil, Italy, South Africa. So I've been all over Europe, and I absolutely love it. But what I find outside of the U.S., and I don't know about Canada at this moment, but outside of the U.S., people enjoy their life more.
Mm-hmm.
People have more fun. At the end of the day, people dance. You'll be walking past a pub in London, and you hear somebody singing. Everybody's laughing. Laughter is just like pouring out of all of the cafes. And in South Africa also. And Americans, they don't know how to enjoy themselves. We've got a problem with gratitude here. I mean, I spent a lot of the time in Africa where the kids don't have food. They don't have shoes. They don't have a floor in their hut. They don't have the money to go to school. And when they get sponsored to go to school, they're in tears of joy.
Wow.
And we end up laughing, dancing, praising, drawing. You give these kids an apple, and they'll be over the moon, happy.
Mm-hmm.
So America, I just feel like it's getting more and more jaded. It's more cynical. It's more self-entitled. And one of the things I love when I'm working with animals and teaching, and I'm about the next con is going to be in Atlantic City, and not too long after that, like 2 weeks later, I'll go teach in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Chicago. And then the next con is in Seattle. I'm doing the Crypticon for the first time the beginning of May.
Wow.
And then there's a new one called Pop Rock and Horror in Gettysburg, the end of May, the beginning of June. And then I'll go on to Europe.
Wow.
But people can just connect to their dog or their cat or their bird and just enjoy loving them.
Yeah.
Enjoy life. Let them make you happy. Let them teach you how to live. They don't need money. They don't own things. And they don't need any of that.
Right.
They're completely comfortable on this earth, and they're not doing anything to harm their environment. And I think when we're connected to animals, we're more connected to God.
Mm-hmm.
We're connected to nature. We're connected to our own nature and what we're supposed to be. And we're also supposed to be protectors of this planet, not just busy devouring it.
Right. I agree with you because, you know, it's scary because in high school, you know, I've learned a lot about this. I'm done high school now, but when I was in high school, I learned a lot about this, and it's scary. You know, I don't want to have to think about this when I get older, and it's scary when you see pictures of environmental studies of how the Earth will look in like 10 years from now, and you gotta change it now before it's too late.
Well, it's going to take a lot of brilliant people inventing new ways to survive.
Yeah.
And now the word is that someone, and of course it's come out of the UK, they have a scientist who's discovered a bacteria that will melt plastic. So there's hope to melt down that continent of plastic. I don't know how it's going to affect sea life and the environment, how it would interact with everything else, but there are these discoveries coming up, and these discoveries are our only hope. And the rest of us, you know, who are not brilliant scientists, have to make it a daily practice that you do some small thing to make the world more sustainable.
Yeah.
And, you know, on my book about Whispers from the Wild, my book about wild animals, the chapter about bees, I suggested that everybody just plant a little garden aside from a green poison manicured lawn, which really serves no purpose. Have a little wildflower garden for the bees. Just have, you know, maybe a square foot even of flowers and weeds that are overgrown so that the bees have a place.
Right.
And if everybody did something, you know, go volunteer at the animal shelter, go walk the dogs, go volunteer, go pet the cats, go clean up a local stream or lake, or volunteer to help somebody with horses, then we can change this world. But we have to change ourselves first. We have to start having a much, much more positive attitude.
You're totally right. I agree with you there. And yeah, it's going to take a lot of hard work, but hopefully get there. We got a lot of great people like you trying to fix all these issues and, you know, care for the living creatures of this planet. So, I mean, that's awesome of you, and I support you, and I'm grateful that you're doing that. So it's great. And, you know, off topic about the animals and, you know, you being an actress, all that stuff. Do you have any other hobbies and interests that you like to do on your spare time?
Well, I salsa dance.
Pardon?
So I salsa dance.
Okay.
So I go out salsa dancing. That's a way that I can still dance and enjoy it. And I draw and paint, you know, as you know, and write, as you know. And I cook. And what else? It's dancing and drawing and cooking and
that's great.
And helping people, you know, coaching people.
That's
trying
great.
to get everybody motivated, get everybody to keep their chin up.
Yeah.
And even if you're not a great dancer and you just jump up and dance, it's impossible to be depressed while you're dancing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with you there. That's awesome. Well,
we have to just continuously shake it off. You know how a dog will get in the river and when he steps out of the water, he shakes?
Yes.
We have to continuously shake it off. Mm-hmm. Because there's so much negative stuff happening around us. I mean, if you let it, that tidal wave of depression and hopelessness will just eat you alive. Yeah. And we have to shake it off every day and try to stay clear, really motivated.
Sure do. I think most people do that, or try to do that, at least just shake it off.
Better shake it off and not make Facebook your personal diary where you post every terrible thing that happens.
Right, exactly.
We've got to use social media to uplift everybody. You can make each other laugh and encourage each other. There's too much criticism, whining, complaining, negativity. We don't need any more of that. We need just the opposite of that.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%. It sounds like you're full of life. I mean, you're doing so much, and that's so amazing. But before I let you go, I have a couple questions I need to ask. I know it's off topic, but I need to ask about Night of the Demons. I know when you're working on set, like the makeup effects is one of my favorite thing about this movie. And you have this talented Steve Johnson that's worked on so many great movies such as Fright Night, Ghostbusters, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, list goes on. How was it working with him, and like how long did it take for all the special effects?
I mean, it was really, really hard. The special effects took about 6 hours to get them on.
Wow.
And we'd shoot all night in downtown LA in the makeup, which was really hard. And the next morning, it would take an hour and a half to peel it off. And we were exhausted, and we're sitting there trying to be patient, trying not to cry. For me, it was trying not to cry. Because none of it is fun. It doesn't feel good. The contacts hurt, bangs hurt, the makeup hurt. And we had to simply get through it. So by the time I'd been sitting in that makeup chair for 6 hours, and then they put me on roller skates and pushed me down the hallway. That's how we did the flying scene. Trust me, I was Angela. I was ready to kill everybody in sight. And David's 27 and a half hours in that special effects makeup.
Wow.
I still have the Hollywood World Record. 27 and a half hours in my snake makeup.
Wow. That's
glued to a teeter-totter, strapped in a trench. Glued to a teeter-totter so that when they did the teeter-totter scene, I fly.
Right.
And then Steve took my tail, wrapped it up with dental floss, and just started whipping the tail around because there was no such thing as CGI back then.
Yep.
The end of the snake scene, they said, "Oh, now you're going to throw a fireball." And I said, "Oh, you're going to set my hand on fire?" Because in the first movie, they set my hands on fire.
Yes.
And they said, no, we'll do that post. And I said, post? What's that? And I think, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why people love these movies and love these characters the way they do. But I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that our effects were real.
Yes, I agree.
You know it's us. You know that it's not CGI. It's us. Mm-hmm. And there's something more emotional about that.
Yeah. And, for me, I 100% prefer practical effects. Not to say that visual effects and like all the computerized effects are bad. It's just that nowadays, most times, it's all computerized. And I love when I watch these, 70s, 80s movies, how everything's all practical and real. It's amazing. And I applaud for that.
Yeah, emotionally, I mean, I just saw the new, Jesus, what's it called? I just saw the female Marvel Comics action movie.
Oh, Captain Marvel?
Yeah, I just saw Captain Marvel. And she's incredible. She's an incredible actress.
Yeah.
The acting's great.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much CGI that in the first 20 minutes of CGI, and it was just like, I felt like I'd gotten beat up because it was so many special effects and all these violent fighting scenes. And I was like, okay, start the movie. Where's the acting? Let's go.
Yeah.
And I also love CGI because I'm an artist and I appreciate that. But as an actor, when I'm watching CGI, there's a part of me that checks out. I'll sit back and go, wow, that's a great drawing of thousands of words. But it sort of disturbs my ability to stay in the story. Do you know what I mean?
I totally agree with you. I know what you mean there. It does. And I applaud you for dealing with all those special effects back in the day and how long it took. I applaud you for that, but it turned out amazing.
Thank you.
And your hands were on fire. Your hands were on fire because I was watching your other interview how you used a chemical on your hands that would last for 6 seconds. Otherwise, it'll burn your hand. So that's...
Yeah, they put this flammable gel on my fingers. That's real.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy.
Oh, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, there was no alternative. That's just what you did.
Yeah.
If you were making a movie, that's what you did.
Mm-hmm. And did you have any...
we didn't even have effects doubles do. I had a double jump off the roof of Full House, do 2 forward flips in the air and land in a trampoline with half her body on fire.
Wow.
That was real. She was on fire. It was real.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to do a lot of the effects myself because I thought it would be fun.
That's great. And do you have any...
Some of it was fun, honestly. I mean, some of it was fun.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Just that the makeup itself is not fun.
Mm-hmm. Is there any funny stories that come to mind while filming the original Night of the Demons?
Oh, gosh, I've told this one too many times. Phil has his arm chopped off at the
casket?
He had an upper arm, they chopped his arm off in the coffin.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's illegal to drive through a McDonald's or a Burger King when you have on special effects because you could give the person a heart attack.
Oh, no.
But still drove through the next morning with his arm missing and spewing blood. I think it was a Burger King that he went through just to see how they would react.
That's hilarious.
We had some fun.
That's so funny. Well, on that note, that was all my questions there, and I appreciate everyone that was tuning in today and asked a few questions in the chat. You've been such an amazing guest, Amelia, and I thank you so much. I appreciate what you do with your work, being an animal activist and author, and being an amazing person, individual. And hopefully I will see you real soon at a con here in Canada. And
I'd love that. See if you can get me into that one in October.
I will. I'll message him right after the show, be like, hey guys, we need Amelia Kinkade to come to your show. Let's do this.
Well, have them invite me and Linnea. We'll both come in costume.
Yes.
We'll both have a huge Halloween party because it's right there in October. And then my Halloween party would be with you.
Yes, that'd be amazing. That'd be really cool. I'll definitely request that. And before I let you go, could you do a plug for the show?
You betcha.
All right, just state your name and say you're listening to Chit Chat and Geek Out on Geek Out Cinema.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
This is Amelia Kinkade from Night of the Demon, and I'm working on Chit Chat, Geek Out on Geek Out Cinema, and I love it.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, Amelia. I really appreciate it. And
you're great.
And everybody in the chat, please make sure to check out the links below. Go to her website. Check her out on Facebook, on Instagram, and keep updated to upcoming cons she's going to. And also, please make sure that you can check out her Archangel Society and donate some money if you can to the to her charity. Be very appreciated. And you actually should say it, Amelia, to get the word out there again, but you have a special deal going on with the 3 prints.
I do. I was at the Atlanta Con at Days of the Dead. I'm doing a bunch of Days of the Dead this year. And one of the vendors was one of the most amazing painters I've ever seen in my life. And I was just drooling over his stuff. He did a Cowardly Lion that made me cry. And I said, will you pay me? And he said, yes. His name is Nate Michael. And it's phenomenal. I mean, no art training at all. He emailed one morning and said, I started your painting. A couple of days later, I've got the most beautiful portrait I've ever seen in my life. So I'm selling those, and I really want people to take advantage of the fact that while I'm in the country, when I'm in Los Angeles, I can get to my warehouse where I've got all my pictures stored. I'm sending out posters. I'm sending out pictures. If they order that, it's $110, includes the postage. They get the beautiful portrait. It's big. It's 11 by 14. They get a free poster. They get a free picture signed to them. And then I'm going to do a deal, I think $50. You get a poster and a picture signed to you. And all people have to do is just PayPal it to me. PayPal it to info@ameliakinkade.com. So it's either 50 or it's 110. And I'll get them out to you this spring while I'm still in the country.
Yes, please do that, guys. All the links below. Go check her out on Facebook, and all the information's there. But yeah, thanks again, Amelia. I hope you have a great day. Keep in touch,
Thank
and I'll let you know about those designs I'm working on for you.
Thank you, Stephen. You're wonderful.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too. Have a good one. Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Well, guys, that was my interview with Amelia Kinkade. She was amazing. I appreciate you all tuning in and stopping by in the live chat this afternoon. And next week, we will be joined by another guest. If you guys would like to keep updated to guests that be on the show, the links are below. Go check me out on Instagram. I keep everyone updated on there with the new guests I'm getting on here. But yeah, I appreciate you all for tuning in, and I'll see y'all real soon. Hope everyone has a great day. Take care, guys. Bye now.